Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Big Ten Under 10 show of 2025. I'm Adam Oppenheim alongside my guy, Graham Nash. We hope you had a happy new year, and we are excited to bring you more updates from the Big Ten Conference. This spring semester will be a blast. Let's get started with the college football playoff action before taking it to the hardwood. We're going to go through the college football playoff semifinal scores before previewing the final. In semifinal number 1, Notre Dame, the 7th seed, took down the 6th-seeded Penn State Nittany Lions 27-24. Notre Dame kicked the game-winning field goal with under 30 seconds remaining to punch their ticket to the title game. As for the other semifinal game, it was the 8th seed Ohio State overpowering 5th seed Texas 28-14, with the highlight being Jack Sawyer ripping the ball out of quarterback Quinn Ewers' arm and taking it 83 yards to the house. That sealed the game with just over 2 minutes left. Graham, let's start in the semifinals. Penn State, Notre Dame, what stood out to you?
Penn State had a chance, Adam. They looked so good for so long, and that is the big thing that I couldn't get over, was they didn't close it out. We talked about it all semester long, and once again, James Franklin just couldn't get it across the line. The big thing, Tom Allen had that defense ready. That defense was so prepared to take on Riley Leonard and his scrambling ability. Riley Leonard had 7 rushing yards in the first half. That is unbelievable. This is a guy that averaged over 50 during the regular season. He uses his legs, and they just wiped that threat out completely. The first 4 drives for Notre Dame, the entire first half, punt, interception, punt, and a field goal that was led by Steve Angeli. That wasn't even Riley Leonard's. I honestly thought that they were going to bring Steve Angeli back because he was just sitting back in that pocket, delivering dime after dime. But and they brought Riley Leonard back in, and they got the win. So that's also what stuck out, was the ability to adapt to the challenge. Notre Dame did such a good job of coming out of that locker room and just facing the challenge. Riley Leonard made every big throw he needed to, except for a late interception, but we won't talk about that. He made every throw he needed to, and that was probably what impressed me the most about that performance.
But Drew Aller, he made a late interception that really just iced the game for Notre Dame, or won them the game practically.
Yeah, won the game. Drew Aller, it was tough to watch. He was going through his progressions. He was going from left to right, and you just can't throw it late across the middle of the field. It was brutal. And if you watch back the route, his receiver he hit the top of the route and then came back inside before getting to where the ball was going to be. So if he hits the top and goes directly across, there's a chance he gets to that ball first. It was just kind of an all-around messy play. But if you're Drew Aller, you can't make that throw.
Right. Let's flip it over to the other semifinal game. Ohio State, Texas. Actually closer than the score indicates. Texas had a chance to drive the ball down the field and score.
Yeah, they did. I thought it was going to be a blowout during the first couple drives, but then that Travian Henderson personal foul, when he just got up and popped the guy right in the face, that kind of stopped all momentum, and that ruined the blowout, frankly. Now, he won it back with that huge house call to end the half.
Was embarrassing to give up at Texas.
Yeah, that was bad. That's probably where Texas lost it. But where I was this might be a hot take, Adam. I'll accept that. This might be a hot take. I'm surprised that they didn't put in Arch Manning, because that pocket was collapsing on Quinn Ewers, and he couldn't get anywhere. He was not scrambling very well. He could, he's a great passer. His accuracy is phenomenal, but he couldn't get out of the pocket. And Arch Manning is a guy that he's got unbelievable running ability. I understand why they didn't, he hasn't been in a game nearly that big, but I thought there was going to be a chance that we saw Arch Manning just because of his scramble ability, his ability to use his legs, and he can throw. That defensive line of Ohio State, they were getting to Ewers pretty quickly, and he was having a tough time getting out of that trouble.
I will say on the final drive when they had a chance to score on the goal line, that's where I thought you put him in because of his running ability.
Yeah.
Instead, you call that toss play, probably the worst play since Super Bowl 49, when the Seahawks should have handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch. I mean, that was a horrific call. So
it was.
That's what I would point to. All right, let's get a quick preview for the Ohio State-Notre Dame championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Ohio State, they've got a great chance. They did not play well at all against Texas. That's not what we saw from them in the first 2 rounds. I mean, Will Howard, just look at how he played. 98.7 quarterback rating versus Tennessee, 97.7. So there's a very good chance he gets back into that groove. He's just a competitor. That's what he does. But I think that Notre Dame's adaptability paired with Riley Leonard's scramble ability might give them the edge. So I'm gonna take Notre Dame.
That's a bold pick. So it's time to change gears to the basketball court, where Big Ten play is in full swing. I'll run you through the scores, and Graham will analyze where things stand in the Big Ten. 6 Big Ten teams are in the AP Top 25 this week. The highest-ranked team in the Big Ten, number 13 Illinois, took down Washington on the road 81-77 and crushed Penn State at home 91-52. However, they dropped a stunner to USC at home 82-72, although Illinois was without their best player, Kasparas Yakashonis. 15th-ranked Oregon had a perfect week. They held off Maryland at home 83-79. Then they went on the road and squeezed by Ohio State 73-71 and Penn State 82-81. Michigan State, ranked 16th, who a lot consider the best team in the Big Ten, crushed Washington 88-54 and handled Northwestern on the road 78-68. Preseason number 1 team in the Big Ten, Purdue, is now ranked 20th in the nation. They started off the week by controlling the game versus Northwestern, winning 79-61. They then went on the road to a rowdy environment in Piscataway, but shut down Rutgers on offense in a winning effort 68-50. Back home for Purdue, they demolished Nebraska 104-68. Number 22 UCLA might not be ranked for long after losing 3 straight games. After beating Gonzaga a couple weeks ago, they lost on the road to Nebraska 66-58. They went back home and got steamrolled down the stretch against number 24 Michigan 94-75. And in College Park, things did not get much better as they scored just 25 in the second half in a losing effort 79-61. Some would say this is the most surprising team in the Big Ten. 24th ranked Michigan won on the road against UCLA, as I mentioned before handling Washington on Sunday at home 91-75. The Wolverines have 3 losses on the season, but only by combined 5 points. Graham, we turn to you again. What stands out so far in Big Ten play?
Michigan. Michigan has been fantastic. I mean, losing 3 by 5 points, that's phenomenal. I don't think anyone really expected that. Dusty May has done a great job coming into that program and really rebuilding it because they were not great last season. So I think they're at the top of my list. Other than that, I would say Oregon. Oregon has been impressive. Obviously, you could also go with Illinois. Illinois has been very impressive. But Oregon's only 2 losses are to ranked opponents in Illinois, and then for now, UCLA. They could be dropping out. But Oregon has looked really solid. I'm impressed with their offense, how they've kind of handled the pressure of being in the Big Ten for the first time, a very physical conference. And then also, they got 2 big road wins against Ohio State and Penn State. Those are hard places to play and hard places to win, and they did so. So I was impressed with how they took care of business. I think they could be a pretty hard hitter going through the season.
Now, you talked about some of the teams who have been really good this year. What are some teams that you're surprised that they haven't done well?
Rutgers. Rutgers, I think, is a pretty big disappointment. They've got 2 of the best recruits from this class, and Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, and they're averaging both nearly 20 points each per game. It's ridiculous. The crazy thing is their third best scorer, who's Nathan Somerville, he's averaging 7 points a game. They don't have a third piece. It's brutal to watch. I've watched a couple of their games over the break, and they just don't have that third piece. When one of those guys subs out in Harper or Bailey, they're in trouble.
Yeah, they might be 2 top 5 picks in the NBA draft, but that doesn't mean you're going to win at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
We're now going to switch gears onto the ice to go over some Big Ten hockey scores. On Sunday, Michigan got revenge against Ohio State, winning 3-2 in overtime. After losing in the final minutes just a couple days before, that game was played at Wrigley Field. Penn State got a second crack at Notre Dame, shutting out the Irish 3-0. On Friday and Saturday were the rest of the Big Ten matchups in the week. Ohio State knocked off Minnesota 5-1 in the first game, but Minnesota came back with a dominating 6-1 win. Michigan State and Penn State split a pair of games, with MSU winning the first one 6-4, and Penn State taking the second game in a shootout 2-2. Lastly, Michigan and Notre Dame also won a game apiece. The Wolverines scored 5 in a 5-3 game on Friday, and Saturday, Notre Dame won 7-4 in a high-scoring affair. We are really excited to bring you this next sport on the mat, wrestling. And Big Ten is quite the conference to have wrestling. They've been dominating the country for years, and it is happening again this year. They have 9 teams in the top 25 and the top 2 teams in the nation. Number 1, Penn State shut out Michigan State on Friday, 55-0. The second-ranked team in the nation, the Iowa Hawkeyes, also dominated against Wisconsin, 45-0 on the road. Number 4, Ohio State destroyed Oregon State, 40-3. They followed that up by winning in Champaign, 24-9. Number 9, Nebraska lost on the road to number 7, Northern Iowa, 24-9, but went back home and beat 6th-ranked Minnesota, 21-13. 10th-ranked Michigan lost narrowly at home, 19-18 to Maryland to open conference play. Number 16, Rutgers crush 24th ranked Indiana in Bloomington 28-6. That is going to wrap it up for our first spring show of Big Ten Under 10. Special thanks to our producer Colin Dusek and teleprompter Henry Thuss for making this all possible. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at B1G_under10 and check back in for our next episode of Big Ten Under 10.